Hello, everyone, and welcome to another divisional preview. I said we have a lot coming on this channel in this upcoming week, and we're going back-to-back days, back-to-back uploads of divisional uploads. And today we got the NFC South. And is this crazy, or does this kind of feel like the chalkiest division on paper?
So far as who you think's going to win it?
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
seen really too many people disagree on this. Even to the order, I've seen a lot of people have the same order, which makes me really think, oh, the football gods are going to laugh in our face.
Oh, yeah. Well, heck, we don't even know if we've got the same order. So I guess we'll wait till the end of the episode and find that out, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking about general consensus. It seems to be the order I at least have. So we'll see about that. We will be kicking off the Atlanta Falcons, and the Atlanta Falcons, they just can't be born in the offseason anymore, can they?
No, I mean, they had a pretty quiet, you know, uh, free agency period. They made a couple of acquisitions, but I mean, they didn't dive too deep in. One, I mean, they've got a pretty decent team for the most part. They do need to add some spots. But hey, let's face it. I mean, they almost broke the internet this year with the draft, right? Because not only did they take one defensive lineman in the first round, they took two defensive linemen in the first round. So
I I was
they,
shocked when that trade happened.
oh, well, I think everybody was shocked, really, to come back up and get another defensive edge, a defensive end. Yeah, it was kind of crazy, but we'll see what it does for them, right? They are a pretty solid team around, so maybe they thought this was a year that they just needed to make those investments and start building off of it.
Yep.
So, do you want to? I know that you love you some Jalen Walker, so why don't you start off with him?
So, Jalen Walker to me was a player I had listed as a linebacker because I felt that was his more natural position. I know a lot of people thought edge. My concern was his size. That being said, I don't know if you've been watching a lot of training camp stuff, and mind you, it's training camp. Take it with a massive grain of salt. He's looked really good coming off the edge. He looks fast. He looks like the best edge I've seen play for the Falcons in quite a bit, which isn't saying much considering with what's been happening there with their pass rush. But he's looked really good, and he is a very natural athlete. One of the better athletes from this past class, in my opinion. I liked him as a linebacker, but I'm really curious to see how they're going to evolve him as a pass rusher moving forward, because he is very talented at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, he is. He's a highly talented athlete. Currently on their depth chart, they have him behind Ebiketie.
I don't think that will last.
No, but I'm just saying that that's how they're foreseeing him right now as an edge.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated with that with him. The Falcons, as much as we can complain about their defense, they do have a really young, talented defense. The problem is they just haven't been able to get the pieces to meld together properly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have been, a coaching change, and so I mean, there's a lot going on there. Um, It'll be interesting to see how they put everything together this year.
Yep. And real quick, while we're talking about it, I would like to throw in Leonard Floyd in this discussion because we are going to be talking about two edges at the top of this draft class. How much impact will Leonard Floyd have of helping Walker and Pierce adjust to the NFL?
Well, I mean, he's been around for quite a while, so you would think that they're going to learn from him. I mean, you think about it when Floyd came in, he wasn't exactly the uh, model, I guess, player, NFL player. He had to mature, but I mean, now he's well thought of in the league. So I think that if they would do very well to follow his lead and listen to him.
Yes, and I think that's very important, especially when you get to the next player in James Pierce. James Pierce, I believe we both had pretty good grades on him during the draft process. The big question on him was maturity. How mature is he? Will he be able to handle the NFL? I never had a question all about his technique, his ability. Well, maybe his technique is a little bit raw, but his natural ability is insane to me. He easily could have been a really high draft pick in this draft class, just with questions about maturity, how he handled the previous season at Tennessee, really rear its ugly head, and that makes you a little bit concerned how he adjusts the NFL. But with a veteran like Leonard Floyd, it helps make the gap easier because someone will be looking out for him. Everyone needs a good older brother sometimes, and that's what Leonard Floyd will be to James Pierce, because this dude is an insane athlete.
He is. And one of the things that I think is pretty interesting is the fact that they just increased their team speed with those two picks, especially on your line, immensely. Because prior to that, last year, I mean, they were not a fast defensive line. If you got outside, you were getting around their edges, and you were gone for, you were going to be gone. But these two, I mean, didn't he run Pierce? I mean, didn't he run like a 4.5 40 or something like that? I mean, it was ridiculously fast for his size.
Yeah, a great athlete, and that's the thing that a lot of the times you'll see the drafts is he ran a 4.47 to answer your question.
Oh, that's pretty close. I rounded to a 4.5. Sorry.
Could still beat you. But when we look at these players, oftentimes you will see these teams take athletes, and you have concerns with athletes adjusting to the NFL because it's not as natural for them compared to just guys with more technique, because oftentimes in college football, you can get away with being the better athlete, the stronger athlete, the faster athlete, because the skill gap is still pretty wide. Once you get to the NFL, the skill gap is not so wide that your technique has to be sound. And that's the big key with these two draft picks, in my opinion.
Well, absolutely. When you step up into the NFL, everybody's an insane athlete, right? So now it's who has put it together. So they weren't done trading after that because they wouldn't have had anything for a while, but they traded with Philadelphia to get Xavier Watts.
So I had this weird thing with the Falcons draft class, as in, I really love it, but they had so few picks, it's hard for me to rank, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. I do. But I mean, that's for later in the episode. Gotta
Well,
give.
it's for later, but I want you to take Watts because I was such a big fan of their next pick.
Oh, well, I mean, you think about it, over the past two seasons, he had 13 interceptions. They need somebody on the back end that's going to be a playmaker alongside Jesse Bates. So if the pass rush can actually start getting there and making the quarterbacks, make errant throws between Bates and Watts, they have some guys in the back that can take that ball. And when they do, they actually can do something with it. So I think that their defense has definitely the aspect that it could be a lot better than it has been in the past few years. But you wanted to talk about Billy Bowman?
Billy Bowman Jr. Now, a big talk about during the draft process was he doesn't have the best build. And by that, I mean he is 5'9". He's on the shorter side. And do you know how long his arms are?
I do not.
28 and a half. Not the longest. But this dude was always around the football. And that was something I even noticed before I watched his film. When I was watching the Oklahoma games last year, he was there. He was there for the football. He was there. If there was a tackle, he was finding his way in there, going after the football, trying to rip that ball out, peanut punch it out. And then he would make the plays. He would really know how to go for that robber position of a safety. He would come down, try and get the interception, and he would at least get his hand on it to the point it would cause an incompletion. He's such a talented guy that has the nose for the football. I loved him as a prospect, and I had a pretty high safety grade on him in a class that I thought had a lot of really good safeties. He just really blew me away, and it wasn't someone I was expecting to be blown away by because you look at the measurables, 5'9", 28.5-inch arms, which aren't the longest. You really think, well, maybe he's just overperforming, and then you watch, it's like, that could be the case, but he's so smart, he's so cerebral. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? Unfortunately, size measurables when you move up to the NFL do tend to have more of a bearing on how you're going to be playing. But hey, we'll never see, or never say never, right? So, and that leaves the seventh round pick, Jack Nelson, the tackle out of Wisconsin.
You could never go wrong taking a tackle out of Wisconsin. Now, did Wisconsin have a typical Wisconsin offensive line last year? No. But Jack Nelson is a big boy. He is listed at 6'7, 316 pounds. That is a hard guy to move. And if he gets his hands on you, odds are you're just not moving in general. Big, strong guy. Maybe doesn't handle speed rush the best. Has a little bit of a hitch in his first step when he's trying to combat an edge that gets off quick. Those are concerns, but he is a big, strong guy that if he just gets his hands on you, you're not moving anywhere.
Alrighty. Well, we already talked about them adding Leonard Floyd. Um, they also brought in Divine Diablo, Morgan Fox, and one of your guys, Felipe Francis.
Felipe Franks.
Yes, him too. Sorry.
Felipe Franks maybe has the most talented arm in that locker room. And that's not me saying anything about Penix or anything. That dude has a cannon strapped to his arm. But I really wanted to ask you, because you have been such a Grady Jarrett fan for so long, what does losing him impact this team?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because not only did they lose Grady Jarrett, but they lost Eddie Goldman as well. So, I mean, they lost a lot on that interior defensive line. Um, I mean, they got Anyamata and they got Rook Aurora, which we both love him. So, I mean, they've got guys that are going to step up. Only time's going to tell because Grady has been such an. I mean, there for the longest time, he was their defensive line. So we'll see what happens as he moves on. But I like the youth movement. I really do. You're bringing in guys. You're going to let them develop, make plays, and see what you've got. And the thing is they've got a lot of young guys, so they can keep throwing. Throwing other situations, other combinations in just to see what happens with it and which one's actually going to stick the most.
Yep, I would agree. I think their biggest loss is Drew Dahlman, just because I think very highly as Drew Dahlman as a center. I think he's a very talented center. Ironically, he also went to Chicago like Grady Jarrett. Just, I have concerns with Brian, just a new center, new starting unit, with a young quarterback who is kind of still a rookie in Michael Penix Jr. He got some playing time at the end of the season last year, but it was so limited, we can't really judge anything off that. And you look at it, like, the Falcons are very much going to try and be a run-first team. I don't think that's any question. You are a little concerned with who's calling everything out, how long is it going to take for the offense line to get up to speed with a new man snapping it. Just little questions that you wonder with that, especially when I look at the fact Dolman is still young. He's 27 years old. I would have liked to have seen them keep him.
I think so too, but the one thing you have to look at that about this is that since Penix is just stepping in, he's probably taken more snaps from Newsel than he had from Dahlman.
Yep, that can very well be the case. It's just something I want to bring up. Now, before we move on, I think we have to ask the question, is Michael Penix Jr. ready? So is he?
I think so.
I think so. Are you sure you don't want to see Kirk Cousins play anymore this?
Hey, I like Kirk Cousins. He's going to be another year removed from his injury. So, we saw how hard it is, especially at their age. I mean, let's face it, that man is old, right? So not as old as me, but still old. So
His
it'll
body
be
might be as
interesting.
beat up as yours.
It's probably a little more beat up, but that's okay. But I think Penix is ready. I mean, he showed what he could do last year. What the one thing I will say is I'm not 100% sure that this offensive scheme works in general. But other than that, I think he's ready. It's going to be interesting.
I think they call a little bit too much pistol for my liking. But I would agree. Penix, very talented guy. We both thought very highly of him during the draft process. You thought of him higher just because I was terrified of his injury history. But you look at the sheer talent he has on the field. He does have a good arm. He has a very accurate arm. He knows how to get good touch. We saw some really good things at the end of the season last year with him. Be interesting to see how he plays against defenses now that they have film on him, see how he adjusts. That'll always be key in the NFL. I like Penix a lot. I have concerns about some other aspects of this Falcons the offensive line, question marks. Receivers, after Drake London, I don't really trust anyone else. And Kyle Pitts, as much as I love him, how much longer are we going to be waiting for him to break out before we just give up?
No, those are all great points to bring up, and I mean it's what could hold this team back ultimately, right? So,
well, now time to move on to Carolina. And Carolina, can I just give props to their ownership? They didn't do anything stupid, which is a low bar for Dave Tepper, but it's a bar he achieved. So congratulations. I have honestly no real big complaints with what they did in the offseason. Trayvon Moehrig, I thought that was a little pricey, but fine, solid safety, can fit in the system very fine. Deshaun Wharton, again, little bit pricey for me, but good player. They had a lot of money to burn. Good player can come in, will be on that starting defensive line to get reps. Bobby Brown, Patrick Jones, Michael Jackson. Solid signings. Brady Christensen, they brought him back. Rico Dowdle, I like that as an under-the-radar move because I just think he's a very talented third down back. Christian Roseboom, Sam Martin, just some good players. Sam Martin will be their punter this year after letting Johnny Hecker walk. And David Moore. Now, I just wanted to ask you, are you still shocked David Moore's in the league? Because when I saw him pop up, I was like, good for him.
I mean, he's a solid backup at this point in time, right? I mean, well, let's see here. Is he? Yeah. So I just wanted to check, because he's going to be behind Tet. So, I think you are just going to have to come to the realization that the league is going to pay defensive tackles higher than what you think they're going to be paying. I mean, every episode that we've done this year, you have had a comment about how much they're paying the defensive tackles. And the thing is that especially with these quick offenses, you need somebody to push the interior of the pocket. That's what the D tackle does, and that's why you're paying for them. In a few years, after this whole cycle comes around again, D tackles will probably it's like an ebb and flow, and they'll probably be on the bottom of the trough. But the way the salary cap's increasing, and you need somebody to push that pocket, so they're gonna make money.
I understand that. I think it's maybe because I wasn't the biggest Wharton fan in general last year. I really thought he was benefiting from being part of that really talented Chiefs defense in general. So I don't have the highest thought process of him. But moving on, I mean, do you have anything to add on the free agency class they brought in?
No, the only thing I'll say is really when you look at what they signed versus what they pretty much lost, I'd say they brought in a lot of value, and the only player that I'd say that was could be a big loss is Xavier Woods. He moved on to Tennessee, but I think that they added some pieces that they needed to try to put things together, and they did that in the draft too. I really like their draft.
So their draft, actually, I grade out as a top 5 draft class this year.
I would not argue. I mean, let's face it. I felt that there were other wide receivers that are going to be better than Tet McMillan. However, when you are the size of Bryce Young, you need somebody that you're going to be able to see, right? And so he having a guy that big and out on the outskirts where he can see him. I think it was a great draft pick for him, and I'm hoping it works out. You know, we were when we were sitting there and we were talking about Atlanta's depth at wide receiver. I mean, you know who the starting wide receiver on the opposite of Tet is?
Is it Adam Thielen or Xavier Legette? Who's the slot?
It's still it's still Thielen,
Old man, got it.
right?
So
So this is showing a trips set, right? So Xavier Legette would be the third in that setup. But I mean, it's just you need to infuse youth into that, and so I think Ted McMillan's going to be able to do that. And he's a pretty decent route runner. He doesn't have the full combination, but he is a pretty decent route runner. Um, the second round pick, I'm telling you, both you and I are Nick Scorton fans, so I thought that this was amazing.
yeah, to just counterpoint on that, Tet, I believe it was around mid March I started pitching the idea of Tet to Carolina because he fit what Bryce Young needed. Just that big guy to see. I love Tet more than you. I praised Tet the entire draft process. Really do love that pick. And Nick Scorton, I think we were higher on Scorton than a lot of people. And clearly we were higher on him than NFL GMs.
Well, they do get paid a little more for this than us, so I guess time's going to tell.
But
And let's face
I've
it.
seen some GMs make some stupid picks, though. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, he did struggle against the run in college, so that is one knock against him. But yeah, I love the guy. I love watching him play. I think he's just uh, all go. So it's gonna be interesting to see just how they utilize him because I hope he's on the field starting game one.
so, and you got to think he is. I don't know if you look at their linebacker depth chart, but that's one thing I wrote down. Patrick Jones, the second, he's fine. He's not really necessarily a starting outside edge rusher I want on this team. And DJ Woonem, again, fine. Like, Nick Scorton, I believe, is better than those two and should see the field week one.
All right. Well, Princely Umanam.
Uman Mielen.
Yes, that's what I just said.
So, do you want to take him? Because I'm not positive on that pick.
Oh, well, I mean, so another edge one we have said that his physical attributes have not turned into productivity on the field. Also, he did have a couple of minor character flaws. So the game went. So we will definitely see how this works. I don't think he'll probably be a day one starter. Uh, if his talent, if they can get his talent to meet with the playing field, he can be a super impactful player. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet.
So, I was saying that for years as a Gator fan, watching him play. I'm like, oh, this year he pops off, this year he pops off. And you would always see these PFF readings, and he would get close to the quarterback. He'd get close. It's like, okay, he does really good getting after the quarterback. And then you watch him play, and it's like, he just disappears. And he got the nickname in the Gator fan base as Potential Man. Then he went to Ole Miss, had a better season. I think fair to say his season at Ole Miss was better than any season he had at Florida. And then you still saw the issues pop up later in the year that he was just disappearing in games. The Florida game in particular, and I'm going to highlight that because after the game, because fans were giving it to him with what he said after leaving, he was seen trying to fight fans. Like, that's not necessarily the most positive thing to have in your draft year. He's got a lot of talent. The problem is, at this point, I can't bet on him reaching it because I was saying it for too many years, and I got burned too many times. Now, Trevor Etienne, I don't know how familiar you are with him. I don't know how much games you watch him. I watch him a good bit because, again, Gator fan. When his freshman game, I remember watching him like this most talented runner I have seen in my lifetime. I'm being very, very specific of when I started watching the Gators. He's the most talented running back I've seen play for the Florida Gators. He was so smooth, had such great burst. I think he's a really talented running back and could very well be a contributor for this Panthers team. The one flaw with him, and it's a pretty big flaw, he cannot pass pro at all. You cannot have him on the field in pass protection whatsoever.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
Yep.
What about Lathan Ransom, safety out of Ohio State? I don't know much about him.
Ransom, I really did like him a good bit, and that was a kind of a key with a lot of Ohio State defenders. I tend to like a lot of them. Very good tackler, good in the open space, could wrap up very properly. Wasn't like the best coverage guy. He had some lapses in coverages, but he could come up, tackle really good, sound tackler. Someone that I could very much see impact in special teams early on, and if you can develop him, get him better in coverage, someone you can put on the field pretty consistently because he's such a good tackler.
Ooh, and look, we have another Florida Gator drafted.
Cam Jackson. Cam Jackson improved his couple years of Florida. Year over year, was not even close than the guy his junior year to his senior year. Bulked up, got much stronger at the point of attack, became a better pass rusher. He overall just made a massive step up. I thought he would go in the 3rd round. I did not think he'd be all the way in the 5th round. Very talented guy, has some good run defense film, but really with what you want to look at is he really improved as a pass rusher his 2 years at Florida. From his junior to senior year, you saw a massive uptick in production. He was able to get after the quarterback. He was able to really push that offensive line back into the lap, causing a lot of issues, which we saw really benefit the Gators down the stretch. Forced a lot of incompletions. Stuff like that really started to shine later on in the year.
Well, Mitch Evans was the tight end out of Notre Dame. They took him in the 5th round.
Blocker.
I like him as a catcher. I really do. I mean, yeah, he's a big guy, 6'5", 260. But he can still catch the ball, and he'd be a really good red zone target for them. I mean, you got Ted McMillan, and I mean, let's face it, Adam Thielen's pretty tall too, but a 6'5" guy down there that's big that can go up and get it. He had 430 yards or so with the Irish last year, so that's not shabby considering how their offensive works.
And that's very fair. Just when I watched a lot of Notre Dame games, I usually saw him being the guy to seal off a big run to the outside. Very good, has good technique, very good blocker.
Jimmy Horn Jr.
The opposite player of Mitchell Evans. And why? He is 5'8", 174. Small guy. Jimmy Horn Jr. was a very talented guy that could find spots to get open at. He's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, obviously, but he always found those little holes in the defense, and he would take advantage of that. Was just a very reliable player for Shedeur Sanders. If it wasn't chuck it deep, pray for Travis Hunter to catch it, it was Jimmy Horn Jr. finds the open spot in the defense to get the ball to him.
So do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about the Panthers this year?
So with the Panthers, it's very hard because they were such a different team down the stretch than they started the year last year. Like, I don't think a team improved over the course of the year more than the Panthers did. Do you think that's fair?
Oh, I definitely think it's fair. And I mean, let's face it, you brought in a bunch of new schemes, and I mean, they had to set Bryce down just because he didn't get it. And then when he played again, he was getting it, and the defense was starting to play together. So, I mean, but it doesn't all come, day one. I don't care that you have, your mandatory mini camps and you have your, it takes time for these guys to mesh.
Yeah. And I will say this, as much of a Bryce Young fan I am, this is his make it or break it year. If he does not succeed, the Panthers will look to draft a quarterback in the upcoming draft class. And even though I've been on record saying I'm not the biggest fan of next year's draft class at this moment, I think they would be willing to move on. So let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. And I think it's only right to start off if we talk about their new head coach, Kellen Moore, who is definitely a change of, a fresh change of air. Because he's a different thought process than the Sean Paytons and the Dan Allens. He's more or less the new gen type coaching guy. Ugh. What do you think bringing Kellen Moore means for the Saints? Is this them going full towards a rebuild because Kellen Moore is not even 40 yet? He's got plenty of years to grow into it. Or is this, hey, let's see what we got here?
I think that they are. I'm not a huge fan of the hire. I think that Kellen Moore got hired because of the offense in Philadelphia, but the offense in Philadelphia could have gotten me hired on as an OC last year, the way they were playing. So I'm not exactly sure that was a pretty good indicator. You look at a couple of the other stops. Kellen Moore actually, had a decent run in Dallas, but he did not show very well with the Chargers. So it's going to be interesting to see when he is actually the guy, what happens. The one thing I'll say is that when he was in Dallas, they had a pretty decent offensive line. Not so much with the Chargers, but last year they had, the best offensive line in the league, of course, was in Philadelphia. Do you know where the Saints offensive line finished last year?
Let's see. I'm pretty sure they got every quarterback that played behind them killed. So I'm going to say bottom of the league.
They were bottom 5, right?
Uh,
But and the thing is, you think about how they started off. So it's just, injuries, lack of depth. That's one of the biggest de factos for this team, is because of their cap situation. Their depth is not that impressive, which is one of the reasons why you see they had 3, 6, 9 draft picks this year, right? Because they really needed to bring in an infusion of youth because they just can't afford to bring in anybody else.
So I have a thought process of why I think Kellen Moore's the head coach, and I don't think a lot of guys want this job. This job is not that great, Saints fans, and I'm sorry to say that, because when the Saints are good, the NFL is in a good spot. But you look at with how much cap space they have. They're in cap hell for how many more years still?
No, 1 and 4.
And they don't seem to be getting out of it. Mickey Loomis is still the guy calling all the shots there. You really just look at this team and it's like, can you have reasonable success in 2 years, which is pretty much a head coach's lifespan right now? Can you get this team up and running? And I don't think 2 years is enough to really get the Saints where they need to be. This is a team that's going to need to suck for a couple years to really just get those draft picks, because they need to overhaul. Like, not only is this team questionably and bad at some spots, they're also pretty old for a team. Like, they're not a young, fun team that's going to learn the ways. They got some veterans there that it's just like, man, they're at the end of the road. Tyrann Mathieu just retired. Cam Jordan, how much longer does he have? Alvin Kamara is ancient in running back years, and you can just look at them and just think, what is the direction of the Saints team? And that's the spot I have the issue with, is I don't know if the front office has that direction.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you fully there. And the only reason why I'm going to say that is because, do you know how many NFL head coaching jobs there are?
Yeah, and what are the odds you get another one if you're fired after 2 years with only 5 wins on your resume?
Well, that also will depend, because sometimes when you go in and you do that interview, they see what happens and they understand your hamstring, how you were hamstrung, right? Whereas the difference is at least Mickey Loomis and the ownership and the Saints, they try, they genuinely try. Do they do it correctly? I don't think so, but they're always willing to try and swing for the fences. Whereas you have some ownership and some teams where you go in and you don't have a snowball's chance simply because of how poor the ownership is. And I'm going to use right now the Browns, right? I mean, it seems like every time the coaches get something going there, ownership does something and just sets them back for 3 to 5 years. And I don't think the Saints are like that. So, hey, if that job is offered, you take it.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't because I do not believe the Saints are a good job that should be taken by a guy with serious head coaching potential until Mickey Loomis is removed. Because he had a success. He helped bring a Super Bowl to New Orleans, but sometimes the game just leaves you behind, and I think it's left him behind. And you just look at the fact that the Saints are in cap hell, and they've been in cap hell for so long now that their head coach that they had at one point has gone to a new team and has reinvigorated hope there. I just don't see the path that Mickey Loomis is the right guy to build this up. So until that happens, I'm just going to be negative on this franchise.
Well, I mean, I've said it a few times before. It is your podcast. I think that if you are offered a job as a head coach in the NFL, you take it. Because guess what? Next year, it may not happen anyway, right? So just because you have job offers this year doesn't mean you're going to have job offers next year.
Yeah, but I really do think there's a difference between a paycheck job offer, because that's really with what this is, compared to a substantial job offer. And the Saints right now, there's a paycheck.
No, definitely it's a way to learn, refine. This didn't work here. This worked here. This didn't work here. You know, these guys are young. Like you just said, he's under 40, right? He needs to trial by fire, just like a lot of these players. Anyway, let's get going into their draft, because they did bring in a lot of youth.
Well, real quick, I do want to address the fact they got rid of Paulson Adebo, very talented cornerback, but they couldn't pay him. They paid Chase Young. They brought in Justin Reed. They paid Juwan Johnson. They brought back Brandon Cooks.
I know. I was gonna bring that up too. I thought that was pretty cool.
So Brandon Cooks, do you remember when he was drafted by the Saints?
You know, we have this discussion with him every year because we think he's like 35, but didn't he just turn 30 last year?
So he will be 32 in September. He was drafted in 2014. He is entering his 11th season in the NFL.
That's awesome.
And he's been in a lot of stops. With what Brandon Cooks is, he is just a reliable depth piece. Yeah, but I just wanted to address because the Saints didn't really make enough moves to really highlight, but I felt like some of them should be addressed. Chase Young, one of their better success stories, paying him. I don't think they overpay him too much. Pretty solid contract. Justin Reed, I question paying guys like that just because this team, I think, should just go full on youth movement, but Justin Reed is a serviceable player to have in the locker room. But as you said, you want to jump in the draft, let's get going.
All right, let's go to the first guy on. I'll tell you what, I'll take Calvin Banks because I know you're not a big fan.
He's a guard.
I don't think so. I think he's a tackle, and we'll see, right? But he's super, super young. And yeah, he had a few struggles last year, but his attributes, I mean, 6'5", 315, you know, he earned getting drafted where he got drafted. Right. And so if they can develop him the right way, they've got a left tackle for a while, because he is really young. So, and this does slide Trevor Penning into guard, you know. So,
it just wouldn't be a Saints draft if I didn't hate their first pick, pretty much.
That's true. That is true.
I think in the past 10 years, the only pick I really liked that they made was last year with Talisi Fuaga.
Yeah.
Now we get to their next pick, and I can't remember, but did this pick surprise you when it was made? Because I was a little, wow, he went before some other guys.
No, honestly, if you remember, we were talking about this, that he moved up. There was a lot of talk that a couple teams might trade back into the back of the first round uh, to pick up him. Um, in fact, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that in one of the episodes that we were listening to from Daniel Jeremiah, he said that there were quite a few teams that had first round grades on him. And Daniel Jeremiah was also saying that he didn't think that some other quarterbacks were going to get drafted where everybody thought they were going to get drafted.
So my whole thing with Tyler Shuck is I really do like him, but I'm very scared because he has a long list of injury history. He has suffered some really bad injuries, and I feel like that sometimes let him get rattled in the pocket where he throws the ball too early. He doesn't let the play get started. He senses pressure, and it's all of a sudden just get the ball out to avoid the hit. I really do think if Shuck can stay in the pocket, can set his feet, he has a talented arm. And we saw this in his preseason debut. The Saints offense looked pretty bad with Spencer Rattler in there. Jake, and listen, Shuck and Heener was against backups. I fully understand that. But the one thing you could tell when Shuck was in there is that ball came out of his arm way more visibly. It was more of a visible, wow, there's something there. Now, the preseason is going to benefit Shuck more than a lot of other players because, like I said, he gets riled with pressure. You don't see a lot of pressure in preseason because you don't see these exotic blitzes. You don't see stunts. You don't see all these things to really mess up a quarterback come into play, which we will see in the regular season. In my opinion, Shuck should be the starter for the Saints because what do you have to lose?
Oh, I would 100% agree with that. Besides that, he does look like he's more acclimated to the system already.
Yes, that was something that was always really discussed. And just for everyone to understand how long Taylor Shuck was in college, he was Justin Herbert's backup.
Yeah, that's a minute.
Yeah, he is very intelligent. Every stop, I'm pretty sure I heard the coach at one point say, this dude is highly intelligent. He knows what he's doing in the quarterback room. He picks stuff up easy. And that's stuff you want to bet on. And when you look at the Saints, Derek Carr, I don't believe he had retired at that point yet. And I know we didn't address this because, well, I'm trying not to be too negative here. I really do think that Shuck was a smart pick because what do you have to lose by playing him? If you suck, guess what? You pick a quarterback anyways. If he's good, you maybe have something.
Very true. On to the third round. Vernon Broughton, defensive tackle out of Texas.
He was so hard for me to judge because he felt like a wingman to Alfred Collins, and I couldn't really get a firm grasp on him.
Well, I mean, he was only a 1 year starter, so I mean it's probably kind of pretty accurate. But he's a pretty big guy. He had 4 sacks in his last season, so that's pretty impressive. Jonas Sanker, safety out of Virginia.
How much of him did you watch?
I didn't watch much of him this season. I did watch when I was doing, looking at draft.
So Virginia was so hard to really judge because they had a lot of breakdowns in the secondary, a lot of miscommunication, and it's hard for me to really pinpoint because we don't know who that's on. We're not in the coach's room. Sanker did seem to have really good range. He could make up for some mistakes. I really don't know how good he is because that Virginia defense really was not good in general. So it's hard to really judge how much he helped them or how much he hurt them because that team as a whole was just not good.
Yeah, well, you could tell. I mean, of course, highlight films are highlight films, but he's definitely a tackler, right? He's not afraid to get in there and, engage.
Okay. Now, Danny Stutzman. This is a guy I watched a good bit of because Oklahoma was one of those teams last year that really fascinated me because I couldn't understand how they were winning football games. Then I would watch their defense and be like, okay, I get it. And Stutzman was usually a big key to that. As I just talked about Billy Bowman Jr. previously, Stutzman also has a really good nose for the football. He was a really good tackler, could come up, play downhill very good. Little questionable in coverage, which you're getting a 4th-round pick here. He's going to have a question something, especially. I really do like him as a downhill player, though.
All right. Well, the 4th round pick. So see, 2/3, now 2/4. Quincy Riley, cornerback out of Louisville. I think pretty much. I think he's a depth piece. He did have quite a few interceptions over his tenure there in Louisville, but I think he's going to be a depth piece, probably special teams to start with, and see what can develop.
So I would agree with you, but I'll also say this. I've heard a lot of people we listen to speak very highly of him. So I think there might be something we're missing there. I didn't watch a whole bunch of Louisville film during the draft process of defenders because most of my focus was on a lot more higher profile names, just trying to get those guys out. And Quincy Riley, when I did watch very little of him, I think I got through 2 games of him, I thought he was serviceable. Someone that can come in a pinch and probably play at the NFL level after 2 years of development.
Right. Now we've got Devin Neal, running back out of Kansas, and I know you like your Kansas and K-State guys.
So, do you remember with what I was calling him during the draft process?
No.
Real deal Devin Neal. This dude will be the running back by the end of the season. That is my call. He will be their number 1 running back. Because Alvin Kamara, he is not much of a running between the tackles guy. He is a receiving threat. Devin Neal is a runner between the tackles. He can run to the outside. He has great burst. He can take a hit and stay on his feet. He is extremely talented. That Kansas offense line did open up some good holes for him to run through, but you could very much tell he didn't necessarily need them as much. He has a very good cutting action. This is going to sound crazy to a lot of people. I had him comped to LaShawn McCoy.
Wow, that's a pretty big comp.
Yeah. And I apologize if I butcher this name.
Maliki Mataveo.
Mataveo, okay. Tight end at UCLA. I didn't watch him. I'm going to be completely honest. I never got to him.
Another 6'5" guy. He had 41 receptions and 500 yards in his final year at UCLA. So look at their tight end room right now. Taysom Hill's out. Foster Moreau's out. So he's going to get some playing time, especially in the preseason. And if he can show out, he might be up for a little more playing time. Moving into the actual regular season.
Yeah, I didn't watch a whole bunch of him. I can't remember how much he played in the preseason game. I'm trying to remember because I watched the entire game through. I can't comment on him. Big boy can maybe bring something there. Now, we got Diggs. In Diggs, he's very interesting to me because when I watched him, he felt so natural in space. Like, dropping back in coverage, he had very fluid movement. He would go back there and cover really good, which is not something, because I am listed as an edge rusher. That's not something I expect with an edge rusher. He was really smart, could read quarterback's eyes. You could very much tell that. So I'm wondering if he moves to linebacker at some point.
Well, he's 6'4", 260, somewhere in like that. A lot of edges nowadays will, when they're in that side, it's not like the edges that were 280, 290, back 10 years ago. So definitely more athletic.
Yeah. Here's the best way I can describe it. He's a poor man's Jalen Walker.
Well, he's got pass rush upside, so you're definitely going to want to, see what you can develop there first because pass rushers are so important to the game.
So that's where I'll disagree. I didn't see a whole bunch of pass rush upside with him. I saw more of him as a coverage linebacker type player.
Oh, I was just looking at his stats. 7.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, and 24. So, pretty good pass rusher.
Okay. So, do you want to address the Derek Carr situation real quick with what happened during the offseason? Because it was really strange. By all sounds, it seemed like he was going to return. And then more and more news came out about injury, and then it was like, okay, he's done. I'm not the biggest Carr guy, I think I've been very vocal about that on this channel for many, many years. As the Derek Carr guy, what do you have to say about him no longer playing football anymore?
Well, I mean, he has had some injuries, some pretty significant injuries over the past couple of years, and sometimes you just have to be smart enough to realize that your situation isn't going to get any better. I mean, we obviously see that they're going in a new direction, right? And whether you're going to be able to be the starter, if you're going to get cut, if you're going to have to go through everything again. And I mean, also from the sound of it, he wasn't cleared, right? And so if you're not cleared, you might as well just bring it up. He's a smart guy. He'll probably end up in a booth and or doing commentary somewhere. So I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, no, it's I was very vocal about it. I was thought it was very limited. I think it was best for both parties. I think it was better for the Saints that he retires, and I think it's better for Derek Carr that he retires because if you have his injury history and you look at the Saints' offense line, even if they are better this year, that's still a very young offensive line that will have lapses and will get the quarterback hit. And if you're at Carr's age, you have a family and all that, he has other priorities than suiting up on Sunday for a team that's probably not going to do all that well this year.
And then we're on to the Bucks.
Bucks, just to recap some of the players they lost, Robert Hainsey, I think that could be a pretty hard blow because he is talented. I mean, the Bucks have a type. They like those type of redheads. Joe Tyron. Wait, Tyron, my bad. Talk about a miss we had.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was our guy for that entire draft class. We thought the world of him, and then he just didn't work out. Justin Skolke, Tavaria Thomas, they didn't really lose anyone of real importance. KJ Britt, Mike Edwards, Royce Newman, JJ Russell. Now, I did see they maybe did bring in Teddy Bridgewater as a backup. That's not been officially reported, but it's been kind of hinted at. That's fascinating to me. Always will be a Teddy Bridgewater fan.
Oh yeah.
But
no, definitely.
I really, really want to highlight because all last season and during the draft process, I think I was saying this team needs a pass rusher. They need it. Well, they signed Hassan Reddick, and awkward as last season was for Hassan Reddick, he's still a talented player. He is 31 years of age, so father time could take some stuff away. What do you think about that move, bringing him into Tampa?
Oh, I think it was great, right? I mean, we don't know all the ins and outs of what happened with the Jets last year, but I mean, he's definitely a great pass rusher. So I think adding more depth on there. I mean, although he is getting up there in years too, so right. So I mean, we just gotta hope that he's got it in him. But they definitely needed pass rushers, and he was available, and he can change a game.
Yep, and there's not really a whole bunch of talk there because the Bucks roster is set. Bringing Hassan Reddick, I thought needed to be addressed. If you want to say another big move they had, I would think keeping Chris Godwin was a big crucial move they made. But overall, this team was already just set. They made one real big move.
Yeah, I mean, they had a good team, right? And so they lost Hainsey, they lost Tryon, they brought in Reddick for Tryon. So I think that's that's kind of a win there. So definitely, I think all in all, they're a little bit ahead of where maybe they were last year.
Yep. Now moving on to the draft, and I think it's only fair because of the scouting reports we wrote on these two different players. You handle the first pick, I handle the second pick.
That's fair. We had a little bit of a discrepancy between Ibuka. I think that it's becoming more and more apparent in this league that you really want route runners to show out and Emeka is what he is. He is an amazing athlete. He's an amazing route runner, and he is going to bail out the New Orleans quarterbacks more than everybody thinks that
Tampa
they will.
Bay.
Yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah. Well, maybe he'll bail New Orleans out too. Sorry,
Travis Hunter playing both sides.
yeah. So I love him. And side note, he went to the high school that I graduated from. So
Boo!
that's pretty impressive as well.
uh, Ironically, the one thing I kept on saying about Emeka during the entire draft process is I like him as a third wide receiver. I like him as a third wide receiver. So I can't really complain where he ended up because he's the third wide receiver.
Short term.
Now, I will not doubt Mike Evans is putting up 1,000-yard receiving seasons 10 years from now. I will not doubt that man's ability. Benjamin Morrison. I had a stupid high grade as a film grade on him. There were questions about his knee, and I never got the reports that I could read that, hey, it's cleared and all that. So I can't say, man, this guy is guaranteed to be great, because if that knee is bad, and I assume it's not good based off the fact he went in the second round as late as he did, I will say if this is a one-contract player, he's going to be a pretty good player. Very talented man coverage, has really good speed, has good closing distance speed. If he gets beat, he can catch up to the receiver pretty easily. Very good in press, handsy guy, can fight, really scrappy. Love Benjamin Morrison a lot during the draft process.
All right, Jacob Parrish, no relation.
So close to having that, though. So close to giving us the way we could run with that. I really liked him as a nickel. I've seen some people put him on the outside. He's 5'10", in my opinion. This is a guy I want in the interior. I want him on the nickel side. Has some good lower body explosiveness. Can really come downhill, play aggressively. I think he's a Todd Bowles nickel.
Yeah, well, he is definitely fast. So he'll probably play a lot of special teams as well.
Yep. Would not be shocked at all. Now, David Walker. How much David Walker did you watch?
Actually, I saw a fair bit of David Walker. So there.
So, did you have the first thing written down in your notes as I did? Where it was like, this is the best athlete I've ever seen play in the FCS. Because, wow.
No, my notes didn't say that, but he is amazing. Where I feel that he's going to struggle is, I think he's 6 foot. He's big, so he's strong for 6 foot. He's like 6 foot, 260 pounds or something like that, right? So he's
the measurables I have listed for him is 6'2", 260.
Okay. Well, yeah, we all know how measurables work, but I saw something somewhere where he was like 6 foot. So, but 260 it works, right? And so he's a great bull rusher, right? That's where his power is coming from. So he's getting these guys on their heels and he's getting back in there. So definitely, as long as his arms are long enough to where he's going to be able to disengage with the offensive line, he could be fun to watch.
So the reason why, and I found out about him because of the Freaks List. For anyone who's unfamiliar, Bruce Feldman publishes a Freak List every single year. Last year, he ranked at number 76 in all of college football. He really impressed me. This dude has a high motor. He will not quit on plays. He is ferocious. Just imagine if you just injected a player with a bunch of rabies and sent him on the football field. That's what he plays like.
Definitely you don't want to put somebody with rabies on the field, but that's just me.
Well,
Elijah Roberts from SMU. Now, I will be honest, I don't know if I watched any SMU this past year.
So, I watched some, and I can't really give a full breakdown of what I saw. The one game I really watched in full was Florida State, but Florida State couldn't block anyone. He looked phenomenal there. Uh, the limited games, I mean, Penn State ran all over them, but hard to really judge. They couldn't get any pressure on Penn State either. Penn State was just way better. They could double team him. Clemson, there were some struggles there. It's hard for me to really give a good feel on Roberts because the games I did watch live, it was either against such a bad competition level that it's hard to judge, or it was against so good that the skill level was just not fair for the other guy, so he could get double teamed, he could get beat up. So it's really hard for me to give a full standard report on Roberts.
And then Tez Johnson.
So I have a context. I've seen some things listing him at 5'10". That dude is not 5'10". He's
pretty small.
He's probably 5'6", and I saw him listed at 154 pounds. I hope he doesn't get hit. I hope. Might be.
If he's 150 pounds, he'll bounce. He's fine. The weird thing though was he ran a 4.5 at the combine, so you would think that somebody that small would be faster, but maybe it's not speed for him, but quickness, because he is pretty quick in and out of his breaks, right? So
I'm not even looking at him as a receiver. To me, he's a return man, and the reason why I say this is, as you said, he has good quickness. He has good short area quickness where he can really turn on a dime and get upfield. You saw that a lot at Oregon punt returns where he could really turn it on, get downfield, and get a good play, get those hitting yards at Oregon. That's a good bet for the 7th round.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. They do need receiver depth, but he definitely is not anything like the mold of the receivers that they currently have on the roster. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, real quick, can I get a shirtless pic of him and Mike Evans staying next to each other? I just want to see. Then, I don't remember what the Bucs play Steelers. Can we get DK Metcalf and him staying shirtless next to each other?
There you go.
For science.
Or just put Tez Johnson on DK's shoulder.
Probably would fit. I don't think we have anything else to add on the Bucs. They're such just a solid, good team that they're kind of boring to talk about almost.
No, I don't think they're boring. Let's face it. I mean, one of the things that you have to remember is over the past 2 years, they've lost 2 offensive coordinators. So, I mean, they have definitely been, they've been on everybody's radar, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. They had to bring in a couple of new coaches. Excuse me, sorry, my allergies are killing me. So it's going to be able to see. I mean, I honestly don't know much about Josh Grizzard, so I couldn't tell you much about him at all. But he is the new offensive coordinator. I will say that Larry Foote being their run game coordinator is pretty good, and they have a really good running attack. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues to blossom.
So, are you telling me it's no longer you had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay or Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan? It's if you've had a cup of coffee with Todd Bowles.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, we are probably one of the few channels on here that love Todd Bowles.
Maybe it's if you've had a cup of coffee with Baker Mayfield.
I do not want to be around Baker if he's on caffeine like that. That dude must be wired.
All right. So I have a feeling that in some of these we are going to be vastly different. So do you want to name the offensive rookie of the year first, or do you want to name the defensive rookie of the year first?
I have offensive rookie of the year listed first, so let's go with that. And I have Tatoria McMillan.
So do I.
Yeah.
So there's one that we have.
So the only other guy I could really see taking it would be Tyler Shuck. And that's just really depending on how much the Saints play him, which we don't know yet because he's not the starter, and how much that line can hold up.
Fair enough. I actually, just a side note though, I think that the Saints offensive line is going to be better this year than anybody gives them credit. I don't know if they're going to start out well, but they've got a lot of talent on that offensive line, and I think by the end of the year, yeah, they're going to be significantly better. Um, do they have a lot else around it? No, but their offensive line is pretty young. Okay, defensive rookie of the year. I have Nick Scorton.
Same.
Oh wow, two for two.
Nick Scorton was the highest rated defender in this divisional preview I had in the draft class. I had him grade out higher than Jalen Walker, and I had him grade out higher than James Pierce. Scorton, to me, has the potential to really blossom as the NFL player.
All right. So, defensive player of the year. I'm betting we don't have the same guy here.
This was hard. This is the one I struggled with the most. I don't know about you.
I picked Yaya Diaby.
No, we do not. I went pretty basic here. I took Derek Brown from the Panthers. Coming off an injury, I think he's got some help there in Carolina now that could see a bigger season.
I just really like how just 1,000 miles an hour Yaya Diaby is.
Yeah, that. Speaking of guys who just you don't want to be around caffeinated, that's probably him as well.
All right. Offensive player of the year.
Mike Evans. I don't bet against Mike Evans.
I have Bijan.
Fair. MVP. Baker.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. All right. Do you want to do order, staff, or draft first?
Well, real quick, I just want to say with what I thought were the best moves that each team made in the offseason.
Okay.
The Atlanta Falcons doubling down a pass rusher in the NFL draft. That was the biggest weakness by far, and they really did emphasize it. Carolina Panthers didn't let Dave Tepper take control. Self-explanatory. New Orleans Saints pulled the plug and are rebuilding. I've been very vocal about the fact they should, and it seems like they finally are headed that direction. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Hassan Reddick. They needed a pass rusher, and they got it.
So, moving forward, what are some key moves that you still think Tampa Bay needs to do?
I would say I still would like to see them bring another pass rusher. I do love the move Hassan Reddick, but I just don't feel like that's a complete unit yet.
I have waiver wire receiver here as well. So I'm gonna skip the Saints. I just wrote these down as they came to me anyway. So Carolina,
I have offensive line depth, and my reasoning is Bryce Young has taken a lot of abuse his early career in the NFL. He does not have the body that's meant to hold up for that, and if a guy gets injured, I am concerned about their offense line depth.
I have more receiver depth there again. So Falcons.
They need some veterans still on defense. I do love the youth movement. I love it, but I do want some veterans in that locker room with them.
I kind of hinted at this before, but I think they need a new offensive coordinator. I really do. I'm not a fan of how their offense runs.
It's too pistol focused. And for the Saints, real quick, I just put warm bodies.
I put around the world. And so, the old game around the world where you're going from one spot to one spot to one spot to the next spot to the next spot, right? After you make your shot, after you get a person in that spot, then you move on to the next spot. You need to get another person. So basically, you pick a part of the ball where you need to work on for them, whether it's a secondary, whether it's linebackers, whether it's defensive line, offensive line, receivers, wherever. Okay, they need to get bodies everywhere. So
can I say a move I think they should make? Trade some of the veterans. Trade Cam Jordan, trade Alvin Kamara. I know as painful as that sounds, but I really think this team needs more draft picks. They have next to nothing. They can't bring in free agents because of the cap space hell they're in. I think they need more draft picks, and I think those two could net you some good draft picks. Plus, they would have the chance to go contend for a Super Bowl, which I'm sure a lot of Saints fans would love to see those guys have that opportunity.
Fair enough. All right, so let's go with the draft first, because I think we both agree that with some of this. Who do you have for the highest draft? I'm assuming it was the Panthers, since you had them for top 5.
Yeah. So there's no shot. I don't necessarily think there's a bad draft in this division, but there was a massive gap in here because I just think that highly of the Panthers draft.
I have the Panthers as 1, 2. I have the Falcons as 2, simply because their one deficiency for the last, well, I mean, at least 5 years has been that they have not taken defensive linemen. Yeah, they had to give up a first round draft pick, but if you look at their team as a whole, if these ends hit, uh, they're significantly better. So I have them as the 2.
I had the Bucks at 2, and my reasoning is Benjamin Morrison. I have such a stupid high grade on if he is healthy and on the field. Emeka Buka, I think, fits perfectly in the role I visualized for him. Parrish, I think, can play the nickel position, like I said, and I really do love that pick of Walker. I really love it.
I have the Saints at 3.
I have the Falcons at 3. A lot of similarities to with what you said. I just had to knock them one spot down because they just didn't have a lot of picks.
Yeah, well, I mean that does happen. And then I have Tampa Bay at 4. I really like their top 2 guys, um, but after that, in my opinion, it's a lot of hopefully they can develop players. We're going to try to get them to the practice squad. So I'm looking at a 2, potentially 3-person draft for them, and everybody else is hopefully making the practice squad. So
So
uh,
I have the Saints in last in this, and I don't think it was a bad draft. I'm lower on Kelvin Banks than you. That probably played a big part in it. Tyler Shuck, I like the pick. I like the direction, but I don't know how much you're getting out of a 25-year-old quarterback. And Broughton just really didn't have a good feel for. Sanker, same thing. Strutman, I did like. Riley, I've heard really good things about. In Devin Neal. Like, I kept on going down, and I was like, there were 2 picks I really loved for on-field play, and the rest I really question.
well, and the one thing I'll say about that is that they need bodies, and they need bodies that don't cost a lot, and so they definitely got a lot of bodies that don't cost a lot. So I'd like to do staff first, and then we can finish with the finishing order. Since you're of the opinion that we're going to agree, so I have Tampa with the best staff,
Same. We're probably going to agree on this.
then Carolina,
Yep.
then Atlanta, and then the Saints.
100% agreed. It,
Okay.
I okay, when I did this, I really looked with what Dave Canales did his first year compared to Raheem Morris, and I like Raheem Morris, but I really felt like Dave Canales did a wonderful job in Carolina that I don't know how many other coaches could have done better than he did.
Well, let's look at going into last season, right? Everybody knew that Carolina was going to be, bottom of the barrel, and everybody was talking about Atlanta as they were going to be the next coming of the greatest show on turf, right? So, how did the teams finish? Carolina finished strong, and Atlanta was kind of, they had a hitch in their giddy up at the end of the season, and so just by the way that they finished, Canales had the buy-in of the players. And then, do you want to go worst to first?
Yep.
Since that adage has been linked to this division so much.
Yep. Last place. This will probably shock nobody. I had the
Same.
Saints.
Yep.
Third place, the Carolina Panthers. I think they're
Yep.
I think they're working in the right direction, but I still think there's some room to grow. Second, I had the Atlanta Falcons.
Yep. I agree.
Told you, we're gonna agree. Tampa Bay Buccaneers in first place.
So here's the thing. I think this is pretty chalk. I can see scenarios where Carolina and Atlanta flip.
I can see scenarios where Atlanta flips with Tampa. I can see scenarios Atlanta flips Carolina, and I can see scenarios where Atlanta finishes dead last. The Falcons are such a is it Schrodinger's cat where you don't know what it is until you open in the box and you see if it's dead or alive. That's how I feel in the Falcons. I don't know if they're dead or alive this season.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, but that's pretty much everything we've got for this division.
It's
I still
it's a
I
very
still
chalky.
think that Tampa Bay has a strong possibility in the NFC to make a push for uh, you know for the NFC Championship, and then depending upon how the end of the season's going, they've got the offense to where they could actually make things interesting. Um,
So let's say Wirfs comes back because we didn't really mention it. He has dealt with an injury. It is not season ender, so thankfully on that. Let's say he comes back and he's fully healthy, and this offense can stay healthy down the stretch. They can go toe to toe with any team. Those
Absolutely.
those receivers, the running back, the tight end, they can go toe to toe. And Todd Bowles, I trust to come up with 1 to 2 stops a game that could really make a difference. So, like, they are my dark horse Super Bowl pick right now. I'm not picking them to get there, but if I'm gonna maybe like wager money on a team to try and get some most bang for my buck when I go to Vegas, I would probably put money on the Buccaneers.
Well, aren't you going to Vegas pretty soon?
I'm going to Vegas in November, so we'll see how much the odds change then. Bucks,
All
don't take over the league until after I'm done there. Uh,
right.
that's going to wrap us up. I hope you all enjoyed. This is a back-to-back day upload of the podcast. There'll be more coming down the wire this week. We have a lot planned, a lot more divisional previews to go. I believe this is the official halfway mark, if I'm correct.
I do believe you are correct.
So it's the
Four
official,
down, four to go.
it's the official halfway mark, and anyone who's listening to this, I am a Steelers fan. We are covering the AFC North next. If you want to hear a fan lose his mind about what his team did in the offseason, tune in. But I hope you all enjoyed. This has been a lot of fun. You want to check out 32 team previews for every single team. That is up on the channel. You want to check out the most recent upload. That is on the channel there as well. There's some good stuff coming down the wire. I got some fantasy football content in the works. And I have a video planned on a historical play that changed the foundation of a certain NFL team's trajectory to help them win a Super Bowl. So stay tuned for that. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this. Have a great day, everyone. Peace out.